Hey guys, it's Sakura's getting here video, and today I'll be talking about another Genshin Impact idol or musician, that is Xiyan, that's getting a lot more attention than before from MiHoYo, which I'm happy about. And let's get to it. Rock and roll is the avant grade art in Liyue Harbor, and Xiyan is the pioneer in this field. She rebel against the awful prejudice and using her music and passion singing to awaken the day's soul and fatigue by world matters. If you get the chance, do not miss out on her next performance. Personality. Liyue's soul rock and roll musician, she rebels against opulence using her music and passionate singing. Xiyan is a fan of rock and roll and returned to Liyue to spread across the nation, despite having a difficult and improving its reputation for many reasons. She is not discouraged and continuing to play and appreciating all who comes to her performance. She does not have any formal training or her music, having learned to herself on the go. As such, she is very supportive of others who show interest in the event they have no experience. Her vision is primarily given to her fiercely personality. She likes standing out on her own, but mainly considers her to be weird or terrifying as a result. While aware of this, she attempts to make her more presentable at them, end up being a failure. Appearance. Xiyan is dark skin, amber eyes, and dark brown hair, which she wears a pullback with two buns with spike bands and one lock from the front of her hair, as a dark red streak in her buns is inside some locks of her bright orange. Xiyan wears a black-brown tank top and fastened by knots and white shorts, with the red and white vest with flattered red, black, and white sleeve. She has a black-red ribbon tied around her legs and knitted socks on her left. Xiyan typically wears a white, brown, and red square with ruin with an axe-like bottom. Her outfit is an Andrian soul. It's described as a rocker stage costume adorned with spikes. Official introduction. Both men were Wang, who started screaming each part of fear and excitement after seeing the stage be ablaze by visions while watching Xiyan perform for the first time. She is on fire. Check it out for the follow that engulfs Liyue nightscapes and listen to the most breathtaking rhythm while losing yourself in the magnificent performance. In the revolt against Liyue's tradition, Xiyan uses her music as her weapon and fire as her battle cry to lighten up the darkest nights until as bright as the day. After this wild ride, when the dust of her dreams like the rebellion settles, the only thing left is the moonlight streets is a few onlooker drunks while in emotions with stringing aftertaste of her performance, as well as shouting Mythilins trying to capture Xiyan, who charged with the fire code violation. Even though she has burned nothing but her ambulance stage, the young girl promptly retreated amidst a fiery blaze, waving to audience on her way out. She took her instruments in rock and roll, and her only leaving to rise uproar in her wake. For she does not wish to presume, just like in music, she just sang her heart to her heart's content. An old lady asked me where I planned to stay. I said Eugene Terrace floor seemed okay. When the J chamber loses its shine, I'll go Chuyu Rock to climb, or maybe visit the dock where all the dogs like to flock. Unless Yakisha takes away my soul towards the crowd, I will continue my crawl. Character story. Character details. Rock and roll originates in Fortin, is just starting to find its feet in Liyue Harbor. Xiyan, thus in the pioneer in this art. Every night she will sling in the instruments that she made herself and stand on the self-construction stage and play a self-composed tune. Every member of the audience as the person are her songs, bold, defiant, loud, and proud. She is by no means a virtuous by her loyal fans will nonetheless lose themselves in celebrating along with her, using their voice and their bodies to shake off the stress and troubles of their days. In the head In the heat of the moment and the fires that lit Xiyan's vision threatened to turn the night into day, she is a true rock and roll genius, and a greater master is still creating an atmosphere, says the steam bred of her skills. Living in Liyue is expensive, and maintaining one lifestyle is harder still. But as Xiyan would tell those worries such as the mundane matters, rock and roll is really easy. Story 1. Xiyan does not adhere its traditional performance norm at all. Anything can be used by her instrument. The pioneer of stage and the floorboards and her cheers and yells of the audience and the explosion and the sparks created by her visions are valid brushes with such she paints her performance. In the post-stage, often she starts to burn somewhere after the halfway mark of her performance till the left in a smoking pile of charcoal. After many warnings, the Millilith were finally forced to tighten their patrol and trying to find her way to stop from her performance. This subject battles wits and tend to turn into Xiyan's favor. She was often able to find a place to perform and set up a stage with a frightening speed and begin to rigorous nights with her audience. The more reliable words on the street is that many patrolling Millilith were themselves infected by the spirit of rock and roll and becoming her loyal fans in the progress. So they're basically keeping one of the Millilith's fans are keeping it a secret. That's so funny. And it makes sense why she never got caught in the first place. So Xiyan would get wind of the Millilith's latest patrol plan, and these friends of rock was thus be able to avoid their eyes with ease, eventually turning the lack of results and the absence of any evidence that anyone was harmed during the Xiyan performance. The Millilith came to adopt the one eye open, one eye shut approach to her actions. Story 2. Xiyan is tall and has a sharp gaze, always wears her stage costume in public, and keeps herself in the right mood for her music. In her eyes, bystanders, this might be quite the imposing sight as she walks down the street, and many assume she means trouble. When she lights up to buy snacks, people in the front always quail with panic and move out of her way. If it happens, she locks her eyes with a young child, even a brief moment, they will run and cry to their parents. Oh my gosh, poor Xiyan. Even when she has done nothing at all, Xiyan is often suspected for wrongdoing purely because of her fierce appearance and making her look more a heinous villain in the eyes of some people. Xiyan didn't care all that much about how other people saw her, but she did think that it wasn't a good thing to scare others and make trouble for them. If she could help, thus she constantly make ways to change. Every day she wake up in the morning, she would look herself in the mirror and massage her face with her nails and stretch and relax her eyes a little. She would even practice smiling and study the expression of verbal and facial alike in great elegance. At the signature amount of practice, she once came across a group of children bullying another kid and sadly went over their rescue and the bullied kid. She gave the kid what she thought was a friendly smile and a gentle pat on the head to say that the upset and quinted down there, and this would be incorrect. However, the reality of the matter is that the child was there frozen in fear and urine dribbled down their pants. Oh no. As for would be the bullies that screamed and fled in panic. Run, run, run. The angry lady turned into a monster. She's gonna eat us all. Hey, it ain't gonna eat you all. It ain't no monster either. But it won't know value the words she raised, and all her hard work was undone. Dang. Poor Xiyan. Xiyan has a one stand by her judges. All things it isn't rock and roll. All that is straight up standing up for those who have been wrong and taking on the challenge of rock and roll, and that is the Repensing fear of wicked oppressing and the kind of dirty tricks, scheming ways is not rock and roll. Rock is a spirit of rebellion and resistance, yes, but patiently immortal acts, nonetheless rock and roll. Xiyan revests that the right that makes judgment, and whether the judgments are based on reflect on her mood, and the difference between things covered by the two opposing terms is clear. The only catch is that these sounds and odd context due to her fierce appearance. Xiyan nearly has no friends, with Xiyan of the Wanming restaurant being one of the few exceptions who she has speak more freely. Xiyan has a special reason for coming to Wanyun restaurant for her musical inspiration, whereas Xiyan is researching new recipes. Others may run into the hills, but Xiyan, she intentionally eats all the experiment products, and amid the taste buds explode that results from never-ending seeing flavors, and inspiration flows from her mind. I tell you what, Xiyan, the dish rocks. Though Xiyan considers to be the highest praise, Xiyan finds it a little hard to be happy about such rating. Story 4: The internal subject of rock and roll resistance. But the thing is, Xiyan's resistance is not a concrete thing, but rather than a combo, shackle, or prejudice. She was born into a poor family, and her parents placed great stock into her, giving her the best what little they do, and hope that would be able to become a phoenix. Of course, this phoenix will become something they would recognize. But thing is, don't always turn out plans. Xiyan grew up to be taller than most girls, and her looks were far more anything that might be considered cute. Nor was she any good at the feminine arts, or whether it's cooking, chores, or needlework. So her childhood was so impacted by such prejudice. Xiyan understand how terrifying they could be, yet becoming rock and roll has not caused her to give up on these arts. This is not the only because she hates losing, but because she feels that giving up because you have no talent is prejudiced belief. Not a long ago, fans of Xiyan named Yujin was invited to her place as a guest, but Xiyan hasn't opened her door to her, so Yujin would have thought that she would have the wrong house. The house was spick and span, windows were clean, and the homes were ornamented, were handmade, and isolated arranged. The cook pot was still moist, indicating that someone has been cooking long before. There was a half-suit clothes by the bedside that looked much like a decoration Xiyan wore during her performance. Why this is a particular room, some refined lady reputed upbringing where the narrative spirit of rock and roll would be found. Xiyan was quite worried that her fans would find the difference between their impression of rock and roll and its reality too jarring. Unexpectedly, Xiyan's support and the fandom would grow even more intense after this. Story 5. Xiyan seems many adults fail to realize that the potential they are tied down to prejudice by giving fear and endless anxiety. They don't understand what life is about or what they're going on. She wrote that these thoughts into her song, but invited to soaring through the same adults. What does this brat know? Even so, Xiyan does not worry after all. Such mockery was born to prejudice towards her age, and if prejudice were something so easily thrown over, there wouldn't be no value resisting it, would there? She believes that rock and roll is a seed like a seed. After every performance, some seed might sprout within hearts of those adults who listen. When they wake up the next day, perhaps they might receive some inspiration, or perhaps a change of mood will come over them. Even if it's only a change, thinking a bit, perhaps they might find the real-life troubles that are facing nothing about the storm in a teacup. Of course, few people other than her audience, the friends of rock, would credit to the rock and roll, but people nonetheless say that the round at the table after having a girl who plays rock and roll is pretty interesting, no? Xiyan's instrument. Xiyan is the main instrument, is the hand made by Lyra of a very unique design. She is based off of rock and roll instrument that was imported from Fulton before adding additional modifications based on personal understandings. For the example, she mounted a crescent-shaped axe blade on the tail and ends of her instrument, so might serve as a weapon in the pitch. She also connected her vision, allowing it to spew flames and spark internal can also spew flames, all better is self-destruct if falls not into the wrong hand, preventing misuse. The list of modification goes on. There are too numerous to count that the instrument thus unique it sounds. A profile also special. Sorry, what do you mean? These modifications sounds like they have nothing to do with music. Sounds like you too need to attend to one of her performances. You'll understand them. Vision. Xiyan was someone who never fit in Liyue Harbor. She has also found she belongs where she encountered rock and roll, but she lived in a land where no place for rock and roll yet. But she needed to be able to attract enough attention. She immersed herself in the world of music, looking ways to move people's heart, and she broke many instruments and played till a collapse formed both hearts, but still it was an unsatisfactory. Who would want to listen to this racket? The Rotten Tomato reviews she received were starting to get to her. She wondered if she should quit. Sitting on top of Mount Tianqi, she looked down on over Liyue Harbor and thought that the light streets alley of Liyue Harbor they could not lighten the spirit of rock and roll. She reconsidered leaving to go somewhere where rock and roll was appreciated, but this is not be running away. Would it not be a betrayal of rock and roll spirits and resistance? She would not leave, and she would become the flame that will light Liyue Harbor up. She started experimenting with use of fire to move people, adding sparks and explosion to her music. But this means no feat for ordinary people. Who knows, many times she must have burned her fingers or blown her instrument up, but still, she continues to practice every single day on top of Mount Tenhen, and perhaps this was the gods himself in great appreciation from his new form of music that would soon grace and send 7 nations, but regardless of the boiling hot vision would be the stroke of perfection. Xiyan dashed down to the mountain and began the very first rock concert in Liyue Harbor. Thus her musical journey with the showers of sparks and explosion keeping time. Xiyan's Archon Quest has not appeared in any Archon Quest. Story Quest, Xiyan has not appeared in any story quest, which is very sad. Event Moonlight Merit 3 to get ready. Here we go. And part 1, Labyrinth Warrior, a tricky situation, pushing on in a way with obsession and falsehood. Web side by side, an unforgettable journey, and yummy barbecue under the stars. Characters interaction, the following mention Xiyan in their character voice line. Barbados, no story, Chongyun, Kuchin, Chi-Chi, Shanling, Kuchin, and Yanfei. Oh wow, there's no stories with voices between them, but not Yanfei. Trivia. Images from the middle of Chisin Rock the Billboard board says that Xiyan's music style is originated from Fulton. Xiyan takes offense to that claim of her reply, stating that her music is from the second character and Xiyan Chinese Minyan is not used in her Japanese. Instead, Japanese used instead pronounced identical to in Japanese, but different tones in Chinese. Expectations only exhibited by Xiyan. All other Liyue characters are written in some Chinese kanji in Japanese. This may be because the Chinese character is not Japanese. Juyun kanji list. Xiyan shares her English voice actor Laura Still with Barbara, and Xiyan instrumental is modified to Chinese Ruon. One of her ideal animation indicates that she is afraid of frogs. Wait, really? That would be funny if, usually, you can collect things in Genshin Impact to make stuff. So maybe if she, encounters, a frog, she, screams. I don't know why I would think that, but I think that would be, a cool Easter egg. Her constellation is a few. Ingen is in Latin for a string of fire. And that is it for Xiyan. And I probably have to think about what I need to do But hopefully there's gonna be more content for this, because it seems to be very slow for game content. So maybe I'll do like because I still have like the old, like the first half for like, I recorded some like Genshin Impact for like Mona and stuff like that. I was supposed to finish it, but I forgot about it. So maybe I can do that. So hope you guys enjoy this video. Like, comment, subscribe videos like these, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye, roses.